So we're going to have you read that section.
Matthew 5, verses 38 through 42. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist an evil man, but whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn to him the other also. If anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, let him have also your cloak. Whoever forces you to go 1 mile with him, go 2. Give to him who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wishes to borrow from you.
So, yeah, I did bring up last time we attempted this. This is a redo for us, but not sure I made my point well. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. This is not
standard law of Moses.
Yeah, this is law of Moses, though. It is true. It's not originating in the law of Moses. This is something that is in Hammurabi Code. It seems in the context of where it was started. Leviticus 25, was it?
24.
24.
Leviticus 24 and verse 20, verses 17 through 20, I think.
I do like to start verse 10 and get some backstory on that.
Okay.
But, this is not something Jesus is rejecting. It's true. He's just going to add to it. Leviticus 24:10. And the son of an Israelitish woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel. And the son of the Israelitish woman and a man of Israel strove together in the camp. And the Israelitish woman's son blasphemed the name of the Lord and cursed. And they brought him unto Moses, and his mother's name was Shelomoth, the daughter of Dibri of the tribe of Dan. And they put him in ward, that the mind of the Lord might be showed them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Bring forth him that hath cursed without the camp, and let all that heard lay their hands upon his head, and let all the congregation stone him. And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, Whosoever curseth his God shall bear his sin, and he that blasphemeth the name of the Lord shall surely be put to death. And all the congregation shall certainly stone him, as well the stranger as he that is born in the land. When he blasphemeth the name of the Lord shall be put to death, and he that killeth any man shall surely be put to death. And he that killeth a beast shall make it good, beast for beast. If a man cause a blemish in his neighbor, as he hath done, it shall be done to him, breach for breach, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. As he hath caused a blemish in a man, so it shall be done to him again. And he that killeth a beast, he shall restore it, and he that killeth a man, he shall be put to death. Ye shall have one manner of law, as well for the stranger as for the one of your own country, for I am the Lord your God. And Moses spake to the children of Israel that they should bring forth him that had cursed out of the camp, and stone him with stones. And the children of Israel did as the Lord commanded Moses. So, this section regarding eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, my understanding of it is this is a building block, basic stuff for beginners. This is for everyone. It's easy to understand. Well, if you hurt me in this way, I get to hurt you. Well, that's true. That is what it's saying. But what it's also saying is that if you think it's okay to poke out my eye, you are admitting that your standard allows for me to poke out your eye. If you're going to be applying this evenly. And I am reminded, I will remind you back in the Beatitudes, blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. And there's a correlation between God and His righteousness and our example, and this purity, that this being able to accept this both ways. I'm a person and I have rights, and so I can see how he might want to be treated the same way.
Consistency.
Now, this is a kind of a difficult passage. It seems like it's mixing up two things. There was a fight of some sort, and then this guy blasphemed God. I just can't imagine that there's a fight without someone being wronged. So there's something before, and there's blaspheming God. Somehow, the connection is there, and we have to read between the lines. And I think what might help is understanding how God, knowing about God or the nature of God, and this is not a claim of God that I'm referring to. It's like, well, the Bible claims that God did this, and this is God. It's just what we know of God is that, very simple things we can build up from scratch, and we have references to this that the people who did not have the revelation of the Bible knew of the nature of God. They build on this. There's only one God. I do think that the Romans chapter, is it chapter 2 or is it chapter 1, talks about the Gentiles knowing the nature of God. I think I would guess Paul does quote old Greek stuff a couple places. It's there's a poem to Zeus. He says, "In whom we live, move, and have our being." They knew about God in that manner. They referred to him in that manner. That might have been a poem to Zeus, but it is the nature of the divine. So that's well applied to God that we know. He did quote poets who talked about the Cretans being slow bellies. That's another reference. And I do think that if I had to pick what Paul was talking about, he's probably talking about Socrates' conversation with Euthyphro, which clearly talks about the divine, and the nature of the gods is what is divine, and not only just some divine standard, it is what is virtue. And well, the nature of God can't be that there's these different gods who disagree and have different thoughts on virtue. If this one disagrees with that one, then that's nothing. So he talked about gods in the strange way and introducing the gods, and probably what he got killed for, that type of conversation. So a little respect, I think, for me to Socrates at least, and I think from the Bible to Socrates as well on that one. It's kind of hard to sell that when we get back to the Bible, the same idea is reflected. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one God, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, and mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. To me, the same standard as I apply to him. If I think it's okay to poke at his eye, then it must be okay for him to poke at my eye. It's a basis of learning. I'm not sure that was brought out or understood, but that's what Jesus is bringing out. Whenever this man, son of an Egyptian, is that how he's referred to, blasphemed God, he was cutting out this reconciling ability of God's righteousness, His oneness. There's one God that we should both hold to a standard of virtue, and we should be able to agree on this. No, I'm not interested. You go serve your God. I'm not interested in that guy. Furthermore, I'm putting him down. I'm going to give disparaging remarks, my disparaging remarks regarding your God, who has nothing to do with my God. Yeah, we don't have the same standard. So that maybe a little long-winded, but I did want to.
Sense,
I did want to bring that out, and we have this just weird blessing that blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Well, this is pure in heart stuff right here. When we're talking about applying the same standard consistently, that's what pure in heart is. I may not have well defined that in my previous comments, but I think I'm presenting the proper understanding on that. So where is that we're leaving off?
Matthew 5:42 is last verse we read. You explained an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and the origin of that. What about is this not an evil man? But whosoever slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also.
Well,
how does that coincide with the verse prior, when the verse prior is teaching us to have the same standard for everyone? The second verse is telling us what exactly?
I think that now.
He's going to bear out the example of somebody enduring persecution.
I think that there is something that was used incorrectly about this passage, but I think what Jesus is bringing out is the correct understanding of this Old Testament passage. So what we have here with I got slapped on my one cheek.
I need to return it.
Well, that is a take on it, but if we're going to be applying the same standard that we expect of others, then to be reconciled, I need to put up with people as much as they put up with me, and
you should rather be slapped twice than to continue the trouble by slapping his cheek.
Okay, so the option is this guy slapped me on the cheek, and I'm going to hang around him some more when he might slap me on the cheek or not. It's not like saying, "Oh, I like that. Please slap me on the cheek again." Now you're giving him an opportunity to slap you on the cheek by not removing him from your company, and that's the option. It's like, well, you done me wrong,
but it's more important to give opportunity for reconciliation than it is to
if you
avoid your own safety.
if you expect reconciliation, you're going to have to put up with people a little bit, because I know that I'm going to offend someone, I'm going to hurt someone,
and likewise, it's going to happen to you.
It's like accidents happen, and not just accidents, actual mistakes where I thought I was doing right, and I messed up really bad or something like that. I need a lot, and I don't think that Jesus is a crazy liberal who thinks that money grows on trees, and the more you pass it around, the better off. But he does give a very hard saying here, and I don't think people, whenever Jesus gives these hard sayings about lend to anyone who asks,
expecting nothing in return.
Yeah, it's ouch.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty sure, that this guy here has some money, probably, and then he also claims to be a Christian. So what happens when I ask him for some money?
Well,
ouch. And so this is a hard passage, and I'm not going to give him much in the way of a way of escape. I think I'm going to go to Luke and make it harder. Can you find that same verse in Luke and see what the rest of that verse says? I think it's like. So we're resuming. Go ahead and read verse 30 there.
Give to everyone who asks of you. Whoever takes away what is yours, do not demand it back.
Okay. Sometimes you might need a little help. But I do think that Jesus sometimes, and maybe people don't notice it, but he gives some hard sayings. It's like he fences you in really good, and it's like, okay, let's see you reason your way out of this one. And I think if we can take all of the fencing in and not jump the fence and then go out through the door, then we're going in the right direction. That's what I think. And whenever he fences you in, there's one thing I'd like to bring out here regarding when he's talking about lending and owing and sin. It's I'm not saying it's not money, no. And I do think that this is the hard way out, but it kind of reflects better the true nature of property rights than to now the Old Testament does talk about restoring an animal. So I get my cow killed by you, and I don't know, you let your bull out and did something mean, and I have no idea, but them pesky animals. Anyway, you can't tell me how much my cow is worth. You can't tell me that my cow was worth more or the same as another cow.
Right.
They're not the same.
One of my cows.
They're not the same. 4 times as many is not the same. There's no reckoning what is lost. There's no reckoning any way what I could have done with my property had you not destroyed it. There is no justification. There's no telling me that one is greater than the other after the fact. I get to say that in trading it. I may have underestimated it. I may find later that I overestimated it. I do know cows are not the same. I do know that when it comes to calving or something like that, if you've got the right bull, I know there's a guy we hang out with who sometimes has a hard calving season. It may have been the weather. Maybe it may be the bull. If he had the right bull, those calves would be the right size. It may be. It may be that there's some magical bull that has some magical properties that make some calves the right size. And if you have that, that is not a cheap thing. That is, I mean, I do know that this guy, he spent hours and hours extra on these cows and lost cows and calves probably. Definitely calves. I'm pretty sure he lost cows too. And then, that's not just one season. A bull will last a lifetime. How would you measure a bull that could cure that problem? Is that something?
It's whatever it's worth to the owner.
Yes.
If he spent hours of research as well after the damage and found one that can cause calves to be born that does not have a genetic that typically gives twins or anything like that, so that there's
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, that's all a discussion for another time. But
yeah,
but whatever it is, it's whatever his time was worth to him to do all that, and whatever his property that he lost was worth to him to restore or to cause that problem to be solved.
Yeah.
So if I went and stole his bull and I said, okay, I slaughtered yours, but I've got one that's just as good, is he under this thing that Jesus says about don't expect?
Well, you're not getting it back, are you?
Yeah, he's not going to get it back.
Yeah.
So he has to.
What Jesus says doesn't pretend that you can replace it or anything. This is
right. You can't go back and unsin.
Yeah.
Is the shortcut that I would put on it.
Now, yeah, you might want to
talk
about
go back in time and unsin. If you break something, you may be able to put a broken lamp back together, but you are still not going to have the exact same lamp as it was prior to.
Now I'm extra happy.
Well, you can steal something and then give it back, but it doesn't erase the fact that you stole it.
And it was gone for that time.
It was gone for that time. Anything that could have been done with that property during the time when it was borrowed or stolen cannot be replaced. I think that's what Jesus is saying in Luke 6 and 30, that not to demand what you have or what was taken back is that because it's not going to happen. It's not going to be exactly the same. So think about what God does. Think about what God does.
Yes, yes, and that's where we're going.
Yeah, the pure of heart, the recognizing. I think there's work in today.
Yeah,
recognizing the properties of the nature of God, and that He has the ability to reconcile Himself to man, in spite of the fact that, not in spite of the fact, but He reconciles man. Through grace, through repentance of mankind, of things that were done that cannot be just taken away without that. But God is the one who's willing to reach to mankind with a plan of reconciliation, and Jesus is requiring that of anybody who wants to be perfect, anybody who wants to be an imitator or a disciple, a follower of Christ. Take it away, Pat.
Okay, so got the light on the right side now. Let's see. Let's show. You can't see that. That's just for me. Let's see. So you might read some more for me, Ken.
All right. If you can.
Where are we? We're back in chapter 6.
Matthew 6 or Matthew 5. So is that everything we wanted to say about turn away not the one that wants to borrow from you?
But yeah, this is.
I think that is. I mean, it does draw direct relation to Luke 6 there that we read, and that's kind of what I just talked about. Here, verse 43 looks interesting to me. Should we?
I just kind of want to say that there's no one except the entrepreneur or the owner who can tell you what it's worth. And to that extent, anytime we sin, we err, we damage someone or their goods. There's no accounting for it, and we do have to make that step of well, we don't think it's right. We're not claiming that
there was no wrong.
Yeah, it hurts. There's no two ways about it. It hurts, but we have to make that step if we expect in turn to be treated as we would want to be treated, to not injure others through our accounting practices of what was done to us.
Right. That's how it ties in. You treat others as you would have done to you. Thing.
Yeah. And